Hi, this is Life and Times with Mike and Terry Day. I'm Terry, that's Mike.
Hey guys, we're starting a series called Life Hacks, and it really is just about things that are important in life and ways to live life a little bit better. We want to do one of the subjects that we want to talk about. We talk about marriage a lot, and how a good marriage doesn't just happen. It requires work, and so we wanted to get into that one. We're going to cover a couple of small topics today, and then it'll be a multiple series. We'll talk about different things about marriage over the course of the show and on the channel, and we'll always bring it up as life hacks, and then I'll probably put all the marriage ones in one playlist for you so that you can see them all in one area. But a couple things that we found very, very helpful. I mean, we do a lot of marriage counseling with young couples, and we also do marriage counseling with
old couples.
With old couples, yeah. So those who need counseling before marriage, and those who need counseling after marriage.
Well, you were talking about, in case y'all don't know, we have a little farm. We have some high tunnel greenhouses, and it's so amazing what you can learn by gardening. And one of the things Mike and I have talked about over and over regarding gardening and marriage is that you can't just pull the weeds one time. It's an ongoing process. Just like gardening, marriage is an ongoing process because we're always changing and we're growing. We should be. And you need to cultivate your marriage, your friendship.
Anytime you take anything for granted, it's going to get away from you.
Not going to work.
So a couple of things that we did early on. One of them was we took a personality test in our initial, when we were engaged. We did a personality test, and it gave us some insight into how to deal with one another. What was the name of the one that we did?
I think it was the Myers-Briggs.
Myers-Briggs?
Not Briggs and Stratton.
Yeah, that wasn't lawnmowers. But Myers-Briggs, I think, is the one that we took. And
the takeaway from that, and it was so valuable over the time of our marriage, is I was off the scale extrovert, and Mike was off the scale introvert, opposites. But it's very interesting because of that tool. It was a tool to use in our marriage. We could understand each other. And over the years, we've probably come a little more center, a little closer.
Well, the fact that I do a YouTube channel now tells you that I've probably gotten over the being introverted. And in a lot of ways, it was just I like being the wallflower. I sat up against the wall at the party, and watched everybody else.
And I'd grab him and I'd say, "You're not going to be a wallflower."
Yeah. So that's kind of, and we learned to work with one another, and she helped me get out of that. And now I taught classes and preached in front of hundreds and hundreds of people, a couple times 1,000 people or more that I've done series in, and that kind of stuff doesn't bother me anymore.
Right.
I'm able to get in front of people and speak particularly about something that I understand
I
and know
just
about.
think of what the scripture's talking about friends, and you should be friends. We were best friends in our courtship, and friends help each other. They pull each other up. They tone people down.
They keep each other warm.
Yeah.
But another thing that we, after we did the personality test and figured that out, so we did the Myers-Briggs early on, and then here recently, in the past few years, we did one called Strength Finders.
Oh, that was so good.
Yeah, Strength Finders really was too, and it gave us a lot more insight into how we handle things, how we can best communicate, and best way to communicate with one another. So those types of things.
Oh,
really help.
another one that we did. Have you ever heard of the 5 love languages? That was another tool to understand each other, and it really has saved us. In some categories.
It teaches you then how to communicate and how to deal with somebody. What is their love language? When do they feel the most loved? And it's certainly helpful. So those 3 things are really good areas. Those 2 things anyway. The other thing that we did is that we got this list of questions. I don't know. We got them early on. I don't know whether I got them from another ministry.
We don't know where they came from.
Whether I got them off the internet or from another ministry. But it's called 276 Questions to Ask Before You Marry. Now, I don't know why it's not 275 or 277 or 300 or whatever. It's 276 questions to
What
ask
cracks
before
me
you're
up
married.
about this is there's a famous minister out there who released a portion of a teaching called "I Need to Know," and it is so funny, but it's so accurate. How to, head a disaster off at the pass. You know those old Western movies.
Well, I mean, we've talked about this before. There are certain people in certain situations in life and in a marriage, there are deal breakers.
Yes.
That if I mean, situations where this particular thing cannot be overcome. They have to have a person that either lines up on one side of that or the other, and there are deal breakers. And believe me, it's best to know what the deal breakers are early on, a month into dating, than it is to do it 2 years after you've been married.
Because you've made this commitment, and now it's like, I never knew this about you.
Yeah, so we in a lot of instances, just pretty much if we're going to do the marriage, I require that they go through these questions. About 9 pages of them, and some of them are fairly invasive. Yeah, I'll read a couple of them to you, or more than a couple probably. But it talks about work, it talks about home. Do you think your home is a cocoon, or is it always open? Hey, I was a cocoon guy, and she was the
more the merrier.
The more the merrier. Everybody sleep on the floor. We'll have everybody over, and it's a big slumber
and
party.
Made him go
Yeah, so we had to come to some middle ground here.
Compromise, yes.
Thank God it wasn't a deal breaker in the beginning. So how important is it for you to have space of your own? A place by yourself. Well, some people it's very important. Others it's not.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, people who we've had people in our lives who, they could only hang out for a little short period of time, and then they had to go and be by themselves, and that was a little difficult.
Yeah, and different personality types.
Different
certainly.
personality.
Well, then another one. Before you get married, you got to really know about this one fairly early on. Is pre-nuptial agreements. Does somebody bring a tremendous amount of assets? Is there something within the family with regard to a trust or something like that would not be able to be shared? There's a whole lot of different sets of circumstances out there, so you need to know what those things up front, because that could be the deal breaker for somebody else.
I was just gonna say, in the movies, it seems like that's one of those deal breakers.
Right. And should you have separate bank accounts? Terry and I've never had separate bank accounts.
Yes,
but there are some marriages that's the way they do it. Their check goes into, her check would go into her account, my check would go into my account. She'd take on part of the bills, and I'd take on part of the bills, and they pay them separately, and they keep everything separated. It's entirely up to you about how you do that, but you need to know how each person feels about that.
Yes.
And that certainly can end up being a
you'd really have to work that one out, because the two things that can destroy a marriage, as they say, it's sex and money.
Right.
So if you're not handling
and you know what?
the money
it's
right,
pretty much the lack of both of those that destroys the marriage.
No, because if the prenup, it's because you have money.
Yeah, that's true too. Yep. The lack of sex, the lack of money, both of those will put you down the tubes pretty quick.
Yeah.
Who handles the finances in a family? I mean,
Right.
that's a big deal.
Right.
Early on, you need to talk about in this society. Have you ever been married before?
We both had been previously married,
Right.
and there's life after divorce.
That's right.
And I'm just going to leave it at that.
Right. And then sex is a big deal. I mean, it's from the standpoint of you need to talk very openly and candidly about it. There are deal breakers, many deal breakers within that.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes people come into a marriage and they have sexual issues due to molestation. And
abuse.
Abuse, yes. And so the other person needs to know about that. That can't be a secret.
Right.
It can't be, because
if it affects your ability to have a relationship or to have
A
intimacy,
full, yes,
to
full
have
sharing.
intimacy, that's a real problem.
It is.
Now the other side of sex is you have to have sex in order to have children. So, but do you want children? How many? When? Yeah, I mean, all of those things make a difference. You don't want to get 2 years into a marriage and figure out that your husband or wife doesn't want to have children.
This is so awful, but there was a person I knew who had gotten married, and she wanted children, and she didn't know that he had had a vasectomy.
Yeah, so that can make a huge difference.
Sad.
How close are you to your family? There are many deal breakers there. We're working with one couple, and they figured out a little too late that she wasn't willing to move from the town that they lived in, and he had always wanted to move from the town that they lived in, and so that made a difference. As to she was not going to leave her family, and he wanted to leave the
and
area.
They ended up in a divorce because of that. Well, they should have known that way in the beginning.
Exactly. Yeah. Talking about families, where do you spend the holidays?
Yeah.
Is it you got to go to Mom and M's all the time? Or are you going to split it up? You're going to do Thanksgiving with one and Christmas with the other that year, and then flip it around the next.
Which would be equitable, right there.
Right. That'd be the thing that Solomon would recommend, the wise counsel. The wisdom of Solomon in the situation. But and you got to figure those things out. What is it? And it's that give and take part of the relationship.
Yes. Out of love, you walk in love. Love is very sacrificial.
What about pets? Pets are a huge thing.
Yes.
And some people like them, some people don't. Some people have allergies, some people don't. Some people consider their pets a part of their family. All of those things happen within life, and you got to know where that's at up front.
Yeah.
Pets affect a lot of different things, from travel. It's hard to find somebody to take care of them, or deal with situations like that. To again, the allergy situations. A lot of different things come up with regard to pets.
Yeah.
Politics. You got to know what direction somebody is with their politics. I'm not going to lean to one way or the other with regard to which one it is, but you have to know whether that's a deal breaker and whether it's something that you all can whether you agree on
to
it.
disagree.
Agree to disagree. Right, there you go. That's part of it.
I know one time we'd had not about politics, but just opinions. I have opinions. He's got opinions. He might like this color, and if you just can't move or agree to disagree. I remember one time just telling you, I have a right to my opinion, because it wasn't anything like scriptural where,
You got to have some flexibility in life, and if you're inflexible, marriage is going to be difficult.
Yeah, I'm not a clone of you, and you're not a clone of me. You don't have to think exactly the way I think. I like his opinions, and he likes my opinions too.
That's right. We listen to one another carefully, and then
we do.
And before we make decisions and things. Leisure time. Yeah. What do you consider? What's a fun day for you? What do you like to do in your time off? You like to travel? Well, maybe the other one doesn't. You need to figure those things out. If you're a homebody and you don't want to travel and you don't want to go anyplace, and your future spouse has always wanted to go everywhere. They wanted to travel Europe and put a backpack on and go do those things, and that's not you. Those can be deal breakers.
You get in marriage to be companions, to be friends, to be together. And early in our marriage, he liked football, and I liked doing something else. I don't even remember at the time. But I saw that he was doing football, and I was doing whatever else I was doing. And look at this. We're going in opposite directions.
And look at what the common ground was. You know what the common ground was? Tailgate parties. That was the common ground.
But the common ground was I recognized, whoa, this is not good for marriage. Yeah. Now, does he have interests that I don't have to be a part of? Yes, and vice versa. I'm not talking about everything we got to do together. No, I'm not really purporting that. I'm just saying be wise. When you see that, especially the wife, I think there's that scripture that talks about the keeper at home. That's not means stay at home. All that means is I'm the guardian. I'm aware of the atmosphere. I'm aware of the dangers.
And that was a danger Will Robinson to her.
Yes.
She saw us going two different directions,
Yeah.
and the thing is that a good bowl of chili and a hot dog brought us together. I mean, good old.
It was so true because I said, wait a minute. There was something else wrong with this picture. They were making all this delicious food and taking it away. And I went, wait a minute, how about this? And again, sacrifice and what is that? I'm losing my train of thought here. Compromise. Is I said, look, how about this? How about if I come to the tailgate party before the game, and then when it's game time, you guys go in and I get to go home. And that was a happy
And that worked
compromise.
that worked for a while until she figured out that she kind of liked the football games. We had a front row seat on the sideline there, and that all of a sudden, I think the excitement kind of drew her in, and then she actually started liking football.
Oh yeah, and then now we were football buddies.
Yeah, so it all worked out there. Fishing was kind of the same way.
Yes.
She would take a book and go read until she figured out that fishing was fun.
Yeah.
And then.
No, I came prepared with a book
Yeah.
and suntan lotion and.
We were in Florida that time, and then we were catching redfish. And there was a lot of fish being caught. I don't think she ever broke the book out. So
No, I never did.
Yeah,
because it was so much fun.
It worked out really well. Holidays and birthdays. Next thing here is there are some people that holidays are a big deal.
Or their birthday.
Or their birthday.
Yeah,
You forget a birthday.
Whoa.
You've committed a cardinal sin if you forget their birthday. Again, we talk about whose house are you going to go to? Is it mom and them, or is it another situation? But are there certain family traditions? I think really is what it comes down to.
Yes.
That are going to be deal breakers. If you can't honor those family traditions, you're going to have a problem.
Yeah.